we can't incorporate in other ways.
I'm Rich.
And I'm Josh.
Make sure your Walkman is at full battery because we're diving into our dad tapes.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for listening to tape number 29 of the Dad Tapes. Let's get rolling.
What do we got in our hands tonight, bro?
Tonight we are drinking another one of the beers that were sent from us by
Our buddies over.
our old pals in California.
Yeah. Old pal.
Tonight we are drinking the Pliny the Elder.
Pliny the Elder. I think he was like an author. I think that was a real person.
I don't know.
I have to look it up real quick. I'm pretty sure that was a real person.
It's an 8% ABV Imperial IPA, and it was brewed by Russian River Brewery in Santa Rosa, California, and Windsor, California.
Yeah, and Pliny the Elder was a Roman author, naturalist, and a natural philosopher.
Wow.
And a Navy and Army commander of the early Roman Empire. And a friend of the Emperor Vespasian. He wrote the Encyclopedia, Naturalist Historia, and it became an editorial model for encyclopedias.
Damn.
Yeah. Pliny the Elder is a pretty... This has lofty expectations after all that.
Right.
That's all I'm gonna say now. You gotta live up to the name. Let's get to cracking, bro. This smells delicious. I'm taking my first sip.
Dude, that's good. I could see why that's an award-winning beer. That's good.
This lives up to the expectations,
It sure
man.
does.
This is
Holy
amazing. Man, Jake, this is good looks, bro. We might have to hit you up for more of this, man. What's the damage on these bad boys, man? This is delicious.
It's going to give you like fucking, I don't know, 25 minutes and you'll see the damage. So how's your week been?
No, man, it's been a week. Our pet rabbit died.
Oh,
He's close to 7. He was like right at that expectancy. I know I said it before. He was the discount bunny. He was the
the brain damage bunny.
I'm pretty sure he had brain damage. He certainly was on. He was the clearance rack bunny, I guess you could say. So we were fortunate enough to get the 7 years with him. I mean, he was never diagnosed and never like certified. Hey, this guy's got brain damage. But
yeah,
I think it was pretty apparent that he wasn't all there. Yeah, he was. Bridget doesn't even notice a difference.
Yeah.
And Dax kind of asks him where's he at? And it's not like he went out of his way to we had to say, hey, we sat him down and hey, our bunny Melvin, he's no longer with us. He's like, okay, well, where is he? He's like, well, he's gone. He's passed away. He died. And he's like, okay, is he coming back? Now, mind you, he doesn't really like Melvin. He coming down the staircase after he wanted to go up and see the empty cage. Coming down the staircase, he's like, Melvin's gone, and he bit me when I was 4. So this kid still remembers this one time, the only time this bunny bit him, and it was when he was just turned 4 too.
Oh, shit.
So he's clearly had a vendetta out against this bunny ever since.
Are you sure you didn't kill him?
I'm pretty sure.
Fucking strangle him to death or some shit?
I'm pretty sure. But in other news, Dex had his first day off of school, and school, it was a Yom Kippur. So the schools, our EHT schools were closed for Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
So he had his first experience of a nice long extended weekend. He did not want to go back Tuesday. He did not. He was not ready to go back Tuesday, nor Wednesday. so that was that. But other than that, man, it's just been a slow, ordinary week, Nothing special. Looking forward to Halloween, gearing up for the fall, bro, Dabbling in this nice fall weather we've got, except for the rain.
I'm loving it, bro.
The rain, man.
Sucks, but the weather's nice.
One sunny day out of the past, 6 days? Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Actually, I think it's been longer than that, hasn't it?
I wouldn't be surprised. But enough about me, bro. What about you? What's going on in your world?
It was a pretty good week, Brought the kids over, or brought Addie over Saturday,
That was a
Got
good
the
time.
kids together. It was nice.
Yeah, it was a great time especially when they were all like just jumping on the freaking couch and having a blast, and it was just chilling,
Yeah.
watching Nathan for You, man. I love that show.
Sunday we decorated for Halloween,
Okay,
got into the spirit. So that was
There you
nice.
go.
That was fun.
what's she gonna be for Halloween this year?
I think she's going to be Wednesday
Okay,
from the Addams Family.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that for her.
Yeah.
I could really see her being Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's cool.
She's big into, she loves Halloween shit, bro. Just anything
I
scary.
mean, your ex loved Halloween too. I mean that was a big
I
holiday
love
for you guys,
Halloween.
right?
You know what
Yeah.
I
I
mean?
mean,
Yeah.
I do too. But I mean, she loves Halloween. Like, yeah, loves Halloween. But no, all jokes aside, I mean, yeah, I think it's a very underrated holiday.
Yeah, I know.
Quite honestly.
But no, it's pretty. I mean, with the rain and everything, man, it just work sucked. It was rough. I mean, I got to do some welding this week, which was nice.
Yeah, I know we talked about that last week or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
Whenever that was.
got to fix a couple buckets and did some deliveries, and that was pretty much it. I mean, it was a slow week. I mean, it went by fast,
I'm sure it did, bro.
but I did meet somebody.
Okay. All right.
She's fun.
Yeah.
She
A feisty little one. How tall is she? I mean, you have this affinity for short girls. For our listeners, Josh, he dates girls who are honestly borderline. They could be borderline legally small people. He really likes his people small.
I'm not drunk enough for this.
And I mean, look, I'm 6'4". Josh, you're what, 6 foot?
5'11", 5'10".
Basically 6. A 5'10"?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. All right. We'll get you some high heels or something, bro.
6'1" wearing my boots.
You better be wearing your boots. So, you typically date really small. Like, it's like, and this chick is not. I'm thrown off. She's like of average height.
Yeah, there's a
For
lot.
me, from my perspective, with a girl with you, that's like you're dating some like Amazonian woman. You dating girls who are like 4'11", 5'1". That's just at least you're past 2-3 of them. Good grief, bro. You love them. You love them little tiny things, man. But hey, you know what? This one seems got her head on her shoulders the right way.
She's cool shit.
Good. I'm happy for you, bro.
But
Don't rush things.
We'll
Don't scare this one off.
Why would I scare it off?
Hey, man, I'm just saying, don't be pulling out your pecker too soon, bro.
Oh shit. But nah, man. All in all, it was a good week.
That's good, man.
So
Glad your weekend is on a high.
you know what time it is?
Pretty sure that we need to be aware dads right now.
It's time to take another sip.
I am aware of the same thing, and I am aware you spilled that.
I got a fucking hole in my lip.
I am aware that we need to continue drinking this beer because it is probably one of the tastiest IPAs I've had in quite some time.
Yeah, this is really good.
Again, shout out you, Jake.
Yeah.
Shout out you, Batty Daddies. You guys got some good beers out there. So tonight, for us being aware dads, we're going to be reading from our Dally Dad book by Ryan Holiday. And tonight's little blurb is January 9th. Protect this great invention. The author, educator, and cultural critic Neil Postman points out in The Disappearance of Childhood, which is a book he had written, that childhood is a social construct. Genetic expression makes no distinction between who is a child and who isn't. Children, as we understand them, have existed for less than 400 years. Quote, the idea of childhood is one of the great inventions of the Renaissance, he writes, because it allowed children to develop, to learn, and to have a safe space to play and explore and discover themselves. Like any invention, childhood can disappear. How? With the disappearance of adulthood. Childhood, as both a social structure and a psychological condition, works when things like maturity, responsibility, literacy, and critical thinking mark an adult. But when things like long-form writing and reading decline, the gap between child and adult shrinks. The line between them blurs and then dissolves. As parents, we have to protect this great invention. We have to increase the gap between childhood and adulthood. Let them be kids, but also make sure that you are being an adult. Be a leader. Be responsible. Be an example and model they have to strive toward. Let them see you with a book they can't yet comprehend. Let them be around adult conversations they can't quite understand. Let them see you working and sweating and providing. Let them see an adult so they have something not just to look up to, but to look forward to as well.
Reading that along with you, it kind of brings me back to, I want to say, like more or less my teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
Because my teenage years, I hung out with the adults more.
Yeah.
I was always around the adults. I was always trying to have like conversations with them and get in on their conversations and what they were talking about or their views or whatever, and just, putting out my opinion. But I learned a lot from that.
No, you do.
And just being in those, I guess you could say in a sense, those intellectual conversations with someone that has been doing this a lot longer than you have, you learn a lot.
Yeah.
And it's things that you can actually, like, you can put into, you can initiate in your life.
Yeah, things that resonate with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a big thing. Bat and Bar Mitzvahs, Vision Quests, and the First Kill Ceremony, Quincenera, and so many other forms of ceremonial graduation from childhood to adulthood, or at least the ability to start to make decisions morally and ethically on one's own. Tonight, we're going to spend time discussing the importance of rites of passage and how those rites of passage continue through your life, from childhood progressing to adulthood, from adulthood to fatherhood, from fatherhood to grandparent, and every other rite of passage life provides us.
It's time for a data dump. In a blended society such as America, it's not an unfathomable idea that we don't have a lot of rites of passages ingrained into our society. Of course, many religions have their own forms of rites of passage. However, every family and every generation's social evolution will change the way these passages occur. As we grow, it's not a wonder that our rites of passage begin to blend with one another, and that's a good thing. There is a drawback to that, though. As blended and integrated as our society grows, there becomes a blurred vision for rites of passages. There's a book written by Arnold van Gennep, who was a profound ethnographer. And for those who aren't aware, ethnography is the study and the interpretation of cultures, its universalities, and variations by typically assimilating themselves into that said culture. In his book, he states that there are 3 stages to almost all rites of passage, which include the first one, separation. The second is transition. And the third is incorporation. This gives the foundation for identifying potential rites of passages that don't typically get the acknowledgement or significance that they may deserve. It's also worth noting, though, that the delineation, awareness, and teachings of rite of passages help cherish and maintain the integrity of childhood. Kind of going back to where our reading from the Daily Dad was. When all is said and done, the importance of childhood allows the transformative effects of these rites of passages to actually hold substance and value. To help prepare our youth for such passages, be it familial, religious, or societal, there's an article written by an assistant professor at the Bowling Green State University. And it goes on to express the importance of blending the rites of passage into the curricular system. It points out that the standalone ideas of both present a complication in the growth of our society, and the clear separation of the rites of passage and growth from one to the next. And that was our data dump.
We really don't have that many rites of passages in our culture, for one.
Yeah.
Not saying that it's something that we can't incorporate in other ways. For instance,
At least like in the vast public view, you mean, right?
Yes, exactly. So in the data dump, when he had mentioned, the 3 stages to the rites of passages, the 2 that really got to me was transition and incorporation. And the reason I say that is because when Addie gets to a certain age, when Addie gets to, I want to say like 10 or 11 years old, right now I'm in this process of getting her used to the fact of when she gets old enough, she can come out with me and go hunting and, being like we had talked about in Invasions and Not the Alien ones, about them being quiet in certain situations and paying attention to their surroundings. When all these things that we teach them in these scenarios and hypotheticals or situations with, just like I had said with hunting, for an example, it's all things that they can go and incorporate in their life when they get older, and it's something that'll help them grow as an individual.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I know that we don't have our rites of passages, for example, a bar mitzvah or a bat mitzvah in the family. But at the same time, when we're watching our children grow and we're being the parents that we're supposed to be for them, the life lessons that we have, in a sense, can be a rite of passage, because what we teach them gives them that opportunity to say, oh, well, I was taught this way, or I was grown up this way. Maybe I shouldn't do that and make better decisions. I mean, I don't know if I'm not trying to like confuse you.
No, you're not. You're not. I'm with you.
But what I'm trying to say is that like the way that we grow our or the way that we raise our kids is, in a sense, we are trying to better them for their future.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in my opinion, that's a rite of passage in my book.
Yeah, I think what you're getting to is the fact that almost everything we do as parents, in one abstract theory, it's a rite of passage, because every little thing that we ingrain into our children, every little guidance that we provide to our children, every little bit of advice that we provide to our children is gearing them up to become an adult.
Yeah.
To be ready for that adulthood and that adult life. And you're absolutely right. That is a...
Yeah, because you're doing that transition into that incorporation once they get into adulthood.
Exactly. Yeah, because the separation is it would be separating the behaviors, or separating whatever it is in temporarily or momentarily, and that transition is, like you said, kind of making that moral decision and conscious decision on their own.
Exactly.
And that incorporation is to acceptance into an older age group, or it's maturity or whatever. And now I do also think that, much like what we kind of talked about in the data dump, is if we don't provide that, or if we provide it too heavily, it loses a child loses that their childhood in a sense. And just like what the Dally Dad was saying, is we need to protect that as well. So it's on us to determine ultimately, and that's such a heavy concept, that
really
we
is.
have the ability to dictate when or when not some our children, an actual individual, a person who exists outside of ourselves, learns something.
Yeah.
And that's heavy.
But we also have that ability to push those limits too much. Like you were saying with how, you're pulling them, you could pull them away from their childhood. If something is done too much, in a sense, you're taking them away from something that they're supposed to be enjoying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're removing them from their childhood.
Yeah, that environment is very important to them or for them.
And then you have the complete opposite to where a child could be stuck in childhood. An adult, for that fact, can be stuck in childhood.
Yep.
Very child and immature behaviors. It's a shame when adults don't have the guidance that they need to. And I'm not saying that every adult or those adults who, we could all think of people. It's not necessarily that they haven't grown, because clearly, firstly, they have, and secondly, half the time they were forced to grow.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that those individuals weren't gifted the opportunity or the tools and resources to be able to handle that. They weren't given those rites of passage. But it is sad to see that grown human beings can be so immature.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like they really do act as if they're still in school. And I always wondered, how can somebody keep themselves there and be content with that idea? And it's just that they don't have that delineation between, I'm an adult now, I need to get my crap straight.
Yep.
I need to man up.
Yeah. And in a sense, I mean, listen, there's a time and a place.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a time and a place for being immature. I mean, everyone is immature to a certain point.
Acting immature can be, it's like having fun. Yes, but there's also those who act immature because that's not even abuse that. It's just that they don't know any better.
Yeah, true.
They haven't grown. Their emotional intelligence hasn't progressed. They haven't had that rite of passage to a proper rite of passage.
Yeah.
And it sucks. I don't want to say I pity anybody, but I feel sad for the people who are that way.
Yeah.
And especially the ones who are just begrudging to learn and grow themselves. That's the saddest situation, in my opinion. Have you, I mean, you're a hunter. Mm-hmm. So I know you were raised, your dad's a hunter.
Yeah.
When you went for your first hunt with your dad, what did he add? Like, I mean, I know for your perspective, it's like, wow, I get to go, putting yourself, how old were you? If you remember. Approximately.
I really don't, to be honest with you.
All right, we'll just say whatever age little Josh Poo was, you like, for you, it's like, I get to go with my dad. Yeah. I get to go hunt. You're excited for this. And like subconsciously, you are aware that this is you're growing. Mm-hmm. Whether you're aware of it or not, you subconsciously, this is the next step for me as Josh growing up.
Yeah, and to this day, even with that, with that statement in that sense, to this day, for example, if I get a doe or if I get a buck,
yeah.
In the beginning, when I really started hunting on my own, when I was older, I want to say my early 20s, mm-hmm. I still called him for advice.
Yeah.
I still called him for questions. And, it's getting to that point where now that I'm getting older, I'm starting to, remember the things that he told me growing up mm-hmm. to do it this way, or, whatever. Yeah. And that incorporation into what I'm doing now is it kind of feels like, I don't want to say a reward, but it's more or less like it builds the confidence more because you're doing what you were told at a young age and incorporating that, and you feel accomplished more.
Yeah.
Because you're taking those scenarios of what was suggested by your parents or what was suggested by a guardian or whatever, and you're incorporating that.
It's the way that it is. You know, you're practicing what you're aware of as this is the way that it is.
Yeah.
That, you know, you had that rite of passage into becoming a hunter.
Yeah.
No, do you remember your first kill?
I do. I really didn't. See, I kind of started to gain an interest when I was in high school.
Okay.
And then I fell out of it.
Okay.
So I never actually really got to go. But when I got back into hunting, I think I was 22 years old. And when I got my first kill, dude, it was fucking exhilarating. Like, I remember every moment.
And see, that's the thing. Subconsciously, you may. I mean, of course, I can't imagine because I haven't. I hate to say it, the only animals I've killed have been
Bunny.
vehicular manslaughter. So, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, I've never like hunted an animal and did that. And, you know, I think any person in their perspective on specifically hunting, pushing that to the side, the aspect of going and doing this act and doing it now for the first time, and you get that, you know, like accomplishment.
Yeah.
That in itself is an entirely rite of passage ceremony because you know, as you stated yourself, you need to be sure Addie's of age, of a certain age to where she's mature enough to be able to process everything that happens.
Yeah, because it's not something that's very lightly taken.
Exactly. I just think that there's such a ceremonial feeling you have, you know, when you get to first go out with your dad. That ceremonial feeling you get when you do get your first, you know, hit.
Yeah.
There's and that's a lot of things in life. Like, okay, I would argue that a lot of rites of passages I've had with my father would be mostly work related.
Yeah.
But I was always his gopher, you know? Go for the Sawzall, go for the linemen's, go for this.
Oh, I was too. Don't you
yeah,
worry.
exactly.
Go give me a wrench, damn it.
Once you get to that point to where like they feel as if they can trust you and you're where you need to be, they give you a job rather than a gopher job. Mm-hmm. And that in itself is a rite of passage.
Yeah, because it's you gain the trust of your parent or your boss or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
You gain that trust, and then they can actually sit here and say, I have the confidence in you. I think you can do it on your own.
Exactly.
And that's another great example of a rite of passage.
And it has basically all three traits of what a rite of passage would be. You know, the separation is the physical, in this case, the physical act of not being able to do that.
Yeah.
And just an observation in that separation aspect. And the transition is watching it being done, the observation again. The transition is seeing how the work is done. And then the incorporation is finally having that opportunity and assimilating into, you know, hey, I have this job now. And that's where you go from 1, 2, 3, and that's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for fathers and mothers, for that fact, to have families to have elements of rites of passage in almost everything. I don't want to say in everything, because you want to have rites of passage in things that are going to have profound effects on an individual lifelong.
Influence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, rite of passage, giving a kid, you know, access to Instagram. Some could see that as a rite of passage. Sure. You know, it is what it is. I don't necessarily agree with that, but again, removing myself from that bias, I think that ultimately having those constructs of rites of passages are so important and so integral to the growth of a child to adult.
Yeah, because and honestly, the way you put that is almost perfect, because the rites of passage that you learn growing up from from childhood to adulthood, everything that you learn and you put into the aspect of your adult life, it's one, an accomplishment, 2, a learning experience, and 3, if you get to the point where something works out in your favor, a reward. You can feel good about yourself for doing what you were taught to do at a young age, and now you're doing it on your own.
I got a question. What type of rites of passage? It's tough to, I guess, kind of plan these things. Maybe it's not. From my perspective, there's probably certain things in my life that I want to incorporate Declan into and provide him that rite of passage. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, what are some of the rites of passages you want to provide for your daughter and any future children or your family in its entirety?
Oof.
Do you have anything that's at least like, if you could pick one thing as a rite of passage to provide them that experience, that transition, and that incorporation into whatever the next step is?
You know what? Now that I you say that and I think about that, I know it may be like more of a small thing for a lot of other people, but with me, I want my daughter to be able to do a lot of things on her own. I want her to be able to trust in herself and be able to take care of things that are important on her own. For instance, oil changes.
Yeah.
Changing a tire if she has a flat, or just anything, changing spark plugs, doing brakes, whatever. I mean, just anything in a sense that's something that's mainly influential in her life, that she doesn't have to go and worry about someone else having to take care of it for her. She can be like, my father taught me this. I can do this on my own.
Would it bother you, despite her having the experience and the knowledge, and obviously we both know that practice makes perfect, so she doesn't have that practice. Would it bother you if Addie, she just decides to pay for that?
Not at all.
Okay.
I would not have a problem with it at all. Because you know what? As long as if she is doing what she wants to do to make herself happy and live a good life, do it.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Whether it's rites of passages, creating via work and lifestyle, or through religion and education, it's clear that a form of a rite of passage is significant in the progression of life. Ensure that we as fathers are bringing attention to the importance of that growth, albeit big or small, for our children. Stating the fact that this activity, this moment, or this event is something that will help grow as a person is important, not only to give weight to the subject, but to reinforce your children that they are becoming who they are to be.
So for situations tonight, bro, you got to bring some heat tonight. What do you got for us, man? The pressure is on.
All right, let's see if I brought the heat then. First one's going to be 5 Knuckle Shuffle.
That's quite a name.
By Anonymous, and it was actually 9/26 of 2023.
Oh, that's very recent then.
Today, I set up an office laptop remotely from home. My own laptop screen sat next to that laptop screen. I wanted to wank, so I opened some porn on my own screen. Then my boss called and said there's smut playing on this laptop.
My God.
Wrong screen, and my work PC was in console mode. So people had gathered to watch.
Yo, man, you should have just went for the bathroom on your phone type of thing, bro.
Yep. Yeah. Second one is Punctured by Anonymous. It was 9/21/2023. Today, thanks to my son leaving his sharpened coloring pencils all over the sofa before I sat down, I had to go to the hospital with a deep hole poked in my left testicle. I always suspected he didn't want younger siblings, but this is going too far.
Man, that is like ghost phantom pains right there. I'm just thinking about that.
You ain't gonna find any nasty juices on our social media.
I fucking hope not. You running the Facebook. I don't know what you posting over there, bro.
Facebook is /the Dad Tapes. Instagram is @the Dad Tapes Podcast. Twitter, as known as the X now, is @the Dad Tapes, and TikTok, Dad Tapes Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave a review of the show wherever you listen to podcasts. It truly helps the show.
I know Josh drives around in a 1980s dump truck. He actually probably does listen to some tapes in there, so not to shit on him for that, but let's shit on him for that. It is horrendous how attentive you guys are to completing the job, and you just got to get better at rewinding the tapes before you box them back up, because it is ungodly to put that tape into your 1980-something dump truck only to have to hit that rewind button that probably doesn't even work.
Nope.
To get stuck only to listen to a tape halfway through, to pull it out and rewind it with your finger, which will take about 45 minutes. So you just got to ask yourself, is it worth it? So do yourself a favor. Do those people you love a favor. Do everybody a favor. And rewind the tapes before you box them back up. Damn.
Please.
And on that note, I'm checking out. Peace, guys.
Have a good week, y'all.
Have a good week, y'all. Yeehaw!